Hi gang, this is Jay Brightlow with Orlando House and Grand Welcome of Greater Orlando. I just want to put out a quick market update on what's coming up for February, March, and April of 2025 and some stats that we just got from the OTAs. So first of all, 60% of all bookings right now are 4 nights or less. So it's really, really important that you have allow for 4, 3, or 2 night stays. Now, one of the things that's most important to understand is that 40%, almost half of the search volume is looking for 2 night stays. So they might be looking to stay for 7 nights or 6 nights or 5 nights, but people are logging on to Airbnb, they're clicking the button that says weekend, and then about the time they're looking to travel. Once they found their home, then they open up the dates. So if you allow for 2 night stays or 2 night gap fills, this will get you into that search criteria. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you set up for 2 night gap fills and 3 night minimum length of stays. If you want to allow 2 night length of stays, even better. We are opening up 3 night stays all the way through 365 days in our bookings. That's one thing that Airbnb is looking for. One thing that's also important, I'm just going to put this out there, is that if you're new to the market, please understand Airbnb, basically a requirement now is that your first 3 stays are a 20% discount. Without that, they absolutely will bury the listing. So it's really, really important to understand that. A couple other stats. March is looking really, really, really bad year over year. We're looking at something like a 20 to 25% reduction in March. A couple reasons for that. First of all, it is still spring break, yes, and that is high season. But last year, what happened? 2 things happened in April that made April last year really down and March really good, at least relative to year over year. That was we had a very, very, very early Easter last year. It was like the last week of March was Easter, and that really pushed the March bookings up and dropped April down. So the second thing that happened last year is that the people who are traveling for Passover, they just didn't come to Orlando that last year. Airbnb verifies this, other property managers, we saw it. Quite simply, all you do is log in and look at your April bookings, and if you see traditionally Jewish names, then you know they're traveling. That just didn't happen last year. We can also tell by the type of requests that we get in April if we have a high volume of Jewish travelers, because they're asking things about like how do we turn off the electricity and etc. That just didn't happen last year. So we are seeing a significant dip this year in March, and then, as promised from my last video, really nice stabilization in April. And then we're seeing that continue through the course of the year. I don't have the exact numbers on it yet, but it looks like the April year over year should be something like a 25 to 40% increase in April over last year. So I think relative to 2 years ago, which is the true benchmark, we're still down, but we're up much more than last year. So that getting a later Easter this year is going to be helpful for our owners. But part of this, especially the last 2 weeks of March, we're seeing a really, really big dip. So the first 2 weeks of March should be good. Third kind of falling, and then the fourth week of March really falls off. And then April, like towards the third, fourth week of April, we're starting to see Easter and then Passover guests returning to Orlando. The recommendation. Also, we are seeing the booking window. For those of you who do not have early bird, you're missing out on the booking window. So we highly, highly recommend a 10% discount for early bird people, 90 days and out. You can do it as early as 60 days. I don't personally think you need that. My pricing team thinks 120, but my metrics and Airbnb tends to align with 90 days. What we're trying to do, we're trying to capture the luxury traveler, the high-end traveler, and the planner. Those are 3 types of people that we're really not seeing in the market right now, and it's frustrating. So we want to capture as many of those as possible. Remember, every day that goes by close to the check-in, a reservation loses value. So the further out that we can get that, ideally at like that 60-day mark, the better. So if you get some locking in at 30, some locking in at 90 or 100, that averages out to about 60. That's what we want to see. We highly recommend a 10% discount at 90 days. And absolutely, if you're a new homeowner, that 20% reduction in the first 3 stays is vital. The reason why, because if you don't put that there, Airbnb doesn't push you. Very tough to rise in their algorithm. Stay tuned. I have more. Wait, just hold on. I really want to get to a VRBO point also. Um, and if you don't allow that, what happens is we can resurrect the listing, but to use an analogy, you got to go to the bottom of the toilet bowl, pull out some unsightly things in the bottom of the toilet bowl, and bring them back up to start floating again, to use an analogy, frankly. We'd like to stay out of the bottom of the toilet bowl if possible. But it is reservations first that drive, reviews second. Reviews aren't vital, but the reservations are. Airbnb's got to see the money coming in to push you up in their algorithms. Obviously, we're getting tanked on reviews. That's the worst thing. No reviews, ideally not. And then, at the highest level, we really do want those good reviews. We can't force people to leave them. We're asking them multiple times, and we're texting them, and we're emailing them, and we're sending it through the platform. But there's a small window for them to leave a review, 2 weeks, and if they don't, if they're traveling, they forget, then the window's gone. There's really nothing we can do. Okay, my last point, VRBO. VRBO, Expedia Group, Hotels.com, this is all the same company. It has been for a long time, but there's more overlap coming with VRBO, and in your portal, you'll see Vacay Connect. That's our entry into the Expedia Group. What's happening now is Expedia Group is pushing more of their Expedia type cancellation costs on owners. So if you're an owner and you have VRBO and you're thinking of selling, changing management companies, self-managing, whatever, let us know right away. VRBO has new policies on cancellations, and they are merciless. They are hammering owners on cancellation fees. And if you ever want to cancel a reservation for whatever reason, that we'll do our best to get the guests to try to cancel it or move them to another home. But if we can't do that, after like 2 or 3 cancellations, they shut the whole listing down. So again, if you are thinking of selling, usually what happens, we just submit like a form that says, hey, this person's selling, here's the contract. And frankly, they cancel with no penalty. That's all going away. And this is their policy, not ours. So if you're thinking of selling sometime in the next year, we need to turn off VRBO, we need to turn off the Expedia Group, and we need to make sure that you're not going to be hammered on fees. My job is to protect you. VRBO is a great source of income, but we don't want to do it at a cost. So reach out to me if you're thinking of selling, if you're thinking of changing, or doing something different. Again, VRBO and Expedia, which used to be really easy to work with, they are no longer that way. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day, guys. Cheers.